Got to get comfortable here, sorry. Again, bare feet, holy ground, right? We're continuing on with the I Am series that John started, and he so graciously said, we'll have you preach on this text. So if you wish to follow along in the Pew Bible, the translation that I have is actually the Common English Bible translation, or you can follow along on the screen. It's actually in John chapter 11, verses 17 to 27. When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Bethany was a little less than 2 miles from Jerusalem. Many Jews had come to comfort Martha and Mary after their brother's death. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, while Mary remained in the house. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died. Even now, I know that whatever you ask God, God will give you." Jesus told her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha replied, "I know that he will rise in the resurrection on the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live, even though they die. Everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She replied, "Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Christ, God's Son, the one who is coming into the world." So this text is just a small portion of chapter 11, and what some of the biblical translations will call the death of Lazarus. And I have to thank the Faithful Servants class for their indulgence last week, because I was trying to prepare for this sermon. My mind was flowing in many different directions, and they were so gracious in giving direction. So I wanted to say thank you to all of them. So some of us may recall this story of Lazarus maybe from our younger days when we were children. Sometimes it's often a simplified version. Lazarus dies, Jesus raises him from the dead. That's it. We don't know anymore. As children, we believe it. Yes, Jesus did this. No questions asked, and we believe it wholeheartedly. And perhaps even as youth, we maybe even reenacted the scene where someone gets to play Jesus while another is Lazarus, being wrapped in toilet paper and placed in a tomb, also known as the youth room couch. We cheer as Lazarus bursts forth from this toilet paper shroud. We beg and we plead and we jump up and down to be the next Lazarus. How we wish to have some of that enthusiasm again. For some, this may be the first time that we've heard about Lazarus and his sisters Martha and Mary. And some of you may be thinking, it's like, okay, so there's this dude, Lazarus, and he dies. And so he's in this tomb for 4 days. And then this guy Jesus comes along and brings him back to life. How is this even scientifically possible? Sometimes our adult minds can't fathom the depth of this. Our minds bear the mark of culture's cynicism and doubt in miracles. We often ask, are there any more miracles that occur in the world? How do I believe this? Do I really believe that this occurred? But if we go back to the beginning of the chapter, we find out that Lazarus had been ill for we don't know how long, and that his sisters Mary and Martha send a message to their friend, Jesus, saying to him, "Lord, the one whom you love is ill." Now, I don't know about you, but if you have a friend or a family member who is ill, you normally go right away. But instead of leaving immediately, Jesus waits for 2 days. He tells his disciples that Lazarus' illness isn't fatal, and it's for the glory of God, so that God's Son can be glorified through it. Jesus waits. How agonizing for Martha and Mary. Here they are expecting a reply, hoping for Jesus' arrival, and it doesn't happen. And so here we are, sitting with Martha and her sister. Friend after friend has stepped forward, hugged the sisters, kissed them, and said, "Your brother will rise again," or "I'm sorry for your loss," or "You're in my thoughts and prayers." Martha had probably lost track of the number of times she heard these and other platitudes as she mourns the death of her brother Lazarus. And then she hears that Jesus is coming. Finally, he's here, after her brother has been dead for 4 days. Where has he been? What took him so long to get here? So she runs out of the house to meet him. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died." And then she continues to plead. Martha is a mourning woman. She's angry. She's willing to bargain just so she can get her brother back. We're not unlike Martha, are we? When life doesn't go as we've planned, we get angry at God. We blame God for what has or hasn't occurred. And we plead and beg for events to occur in our favor, sometimes to our detriment. We feel broken and alone, as if we cannot continue on. But that's not the case, because Jesus is with us now, offering comfort and compassion and love in dark times. And that's what he's trying to explain to Martha. He's trying to tell her, your brother will rise again, because I am both resurrection and life. I am the welder of broken pasts. I am the solution to shallow living. I am the future hope that is in the flesh. Emmanuel, God with us. Do you believe? Do you have faith? Do you trust me? Jesus was fully aware that death is not final. His raising of Lazarus foreshadows his own death and resurrection, and it offers us proof of his divine nature, his messiahship, if you will. And that's why we're here every Sunday, to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, God's Son, who reveals to us that death is not dead, and our pasts are being ironed out now. And the hope of the future is being pulled into our present. We are here seeking life, abundant life, everlasting life, life that is found through the love and compassion of Jesus Christ. Through Jesus' resurrection, we have been given life's sustaining power, which enables us to live our lives without fear of death, to live our lives with love. There's going to be a small, or 3.5-minute video here in a few minutes that was actually a song that I heard on a PBS commercial, and it just seemed like the words just kind of fit. So I'll kind of quote the lyrics with some slight additions. And the musician is Zayd Wolf. And we're to live our lives like we have never had. To live life through the good and the bad. To live our lives freed from death. We know this life is all that we have. Or that's what we've been told. Christ goes with us wherever we go. The time is now, not when, to reach for Christ's hand and go where Christ will go. Amen.